Oh no. This can't be happening. On our first date? She's gonna think I'm pre-game this or something. Okay. Think, Mickey. How can I make this stop? Think. Brain blast! Cold water. I know I heard something about drinking cold water, right? Or was it warm water? Crap! She's gonna be here any minute. Come to think of it, she's like 15 minutes late. Not a good first impression. Okay, maybe honey? A spoonful of honey, right? That's one. I'm in a restaurant. Do restaurants have honey? Of course they do. Waiter. Excuse me, waiter? Oui. Do you by any chance have any What, honey.
Oh, I did not know what you said because of
The hiccups, yeah. Honey, do you have it?
No, this is a vegan restaurant.
Honey isn't vegan?
Do you think the enslavement of the bees is okay?
What? No. Never mind. Oh, great. She's here. Alright, well, here goes nothing.
Hey, Mickey, right?
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah. Just hiccups.
Are you, like, drunk or something?
No. I don't, they just sort of, started.
You need to put your thumb in your mouth and blow on it as hard as you can for 10 seconds.
What?
Foolproof hiccup cure. It works every time.
Okay.
I'll count. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Huh. Wow. Thanks. Pretty good, first impression, eh? Can we start over?
Yeah. It's nice to finally meet you in person. I'm Maddie.
Yeah, I'm Mickey. It's nice to meet you too. I'm glad you could make it. Ah, damn it. Hey there, everybody. I'm Mickey Roberts, and welcome back to Knowing Nothing, brought to you by Sound Pollination. If you've been following along with Sound Pollination at all, you know that just last week, we officially launched. It was super exciting. The event was a big success. We had some amazing artists perform, and a bunch of raffles, and wine. But best of all is that our launch was only the first of many Sound Pollination events to come. So if you want to stay in the loop about live podcasts, open mics, musician lineups, or etc., follow us on Instagram at Sound Pollination, or go to our website, soundpollination.com, and sign up for our newsletter. And if you donate to our Patreon, even as little as $1 a month, less than a cup of coffee, you'll get first dibs on tickets to events and first ears on any new episodes we put out. Okay, although I'm super excited about all of that, it's not why we're here today. We're here for Knowing Nothing's 4th official episode. And if you're still here to hear it after my rather silly intro, then you either really want to learn a little something about this topic, or I paid you. The topic we're going to learn about today was suggested to me by an immensely inquisitive young boy and fan of the show, Jax Bartok. What nothing are we going to know today? Drumroll, please. What the heck is a hiccup? Where did it come from? And do any of those wacky remedies we've all heard of actually cure them? You know, drinking water upside down, eating a spoonful of honey, getting your friend to scare the bejesus out of you. Yes, I just used the word bejesus. I won't do it again, I promise. I, for one, am a drink a glass of water through a napkin kind of guy. Does it work every time? Absolutely. Do I have any clue why? Not at all. But that's why this show exists, to know a new thing for no reason other than because learning is pretty damn awesome. And maybe after listening to this episode, the next time you're at a family barbecue and Aunt Linda eats her burger too quickly, again, and the hiccups sneak up on her, you'll be able to tell her not only how to put a stop to them, but why it works, and call her a fish lady, which will make more sense in a few minutes, but would still be rude. I'm not giving you permission to call Aunt Linda a fish. So let's start with the basics. What causes hiccups? When doing a little research on this question, I came across an amazing animation taught by TED educator John Cameron. According to this video, and I quote, "Hiccups are brought on by stimuli which stretch the stomach, like swallowing air or too rapid eating or drinking. Some doctors associate hiccups with intense emotions: laughing, sobbing, anxiety, and excitement. Naturally, I wanted to make sure that John Cameron wasn't lying to me, and lo and behold, I found the same information on a number of studies. An article published by the Harvard Medical School states that, like a full stomach, bouts of hiccups can be brought on by alcohol, sudden temperature changes, smoking cigarettes, and even just stress. So clearly a bunch of things can cause hiccups. But what actually is a hiccup? A hiccup is the result of an involuntary spasm in your diaphragm, which is a large muscle that separates your thoracic cavity, which is basically everything inside your rib cage, from your abdomen, aka the place where your hot dogs go, or tofurkey if you're vegan. The diaphragm is pretty important too. It rests right below the lungs. It's basically the reason we can breathe. When your diaphragm contracts, it creates a vacuum in your lungs, pulling air in through your mouth. And when it relaxes, it pushes that air in your lungs back out. These contractions are signaled by your brain through your nervous system. But sometimes your brain will send unexpected signals out of rhythm with your breath. This causes a sudden involuntary contraction of the diaphragm, which in turn causes a sudden inhale. But that pressure change from your inhale triggers your vocal cords, also known as the glottis, which is just such a silly word, to snap shut, preventing the air from getting into your lungs. And that creates the all too well-known sound that is So our brains are making us hiccup for no reason? Well, actually, maybe yes. There's no solid answer as to why we hiccup. Medical professionals all around have yet to find any real advantage to the ability to hiccup. And if you think about it, it doesn't really make any sense that our brains would do this. And what's the point of taking a breath if it's just going to be stopped by our glottises before we get it into our lungs? Is that right? Glottises? Glotti? It doesn't matter. The point is, hiccups seem useless. So why do we do it? Well, there is one theory that actually has quite a bit of evidence to support it. And it begins nearly 400 million years ago with our very own biological ancestors, fish. Shout out to Aunt Linda. Back then, Earth was covered with a lot of water, much warmer and more stagnant water, and because of this, many fish were lacking in the oxygen that they needed to grow. So, the smartest of the fish made a deal with Mr. Evolution to help them take advantage of all that tantalizing oxygen just above the water's surface. And so with that, Mr. Evolution started developing the perfect tool: lungs. And after a short time of 40 million years, evolution kept up its end of the bargain. Fish took to land, becoming the Adams and Eves of their very own Book of Genesis, amphibian edition. But, just like making deals with the devil, deals with evolution come with a hefty price. And that price? The dreaded hiccup. When you have gills and lungs at the same time, and also the mental capacity of a fish, breathing can be difficult. And the hiccup was a solution. A sudden inhalation which could simultaneously pull water through your gills and air into your lungs. And that silly glottis would close before water could sneak into the lungs as well. This weird evolutionary trait can be seen clearly today on a much smaller time scale in tadpoles as they start to develop into frogs. They too have a tiny tadpole glottis that keeps them from drowning on their own breaths. And so, as the ancient landfish kept hiccuping their way into the future, Mr. Evolution kept building them better tools for land life. And one day, 360 million years later, fish look like us. No gills, still living that terrestrial lifestyle, and still hiccuping for no reason. A vestigial remnant from the wiggling, hiccuping, prehistoric lungfish we call our ancestors. So that's interesting. Hiccups aren't so useful to us, being that most of us have misplaced our lungs by now. But maybe the thought that it was once useful can bring us solace when we're enduring them? Or maybe another theory might be in order. One that says hiccups might have a more present-day advantage than we think. Remember that TED Ed video I mentioned earlier? Well, in it, John Cameron mentions this theory briefly by bringing up an interesting point. Mammals seem to be the only animals, aside from amphibians, that hiccup. Birds and reptiles don't do this. He also mentions that hiccuping in humans begins in the womb. And hiccuping is much more common for infants than for any other age. With that, I want to introduce you to Christian Strauss, a scientist who works at a hospital in Paris, the name of which I definitely can't pronounce. Strauss is the man behind this alternative theory as to why evolution has carried the genetic trait of hiccuping into humans. In an article from New Scientist, author James Randerson interviews Strauss about this theory. In it, he writes, Strauss thinks the circuitry that controls the movements of the gills and glottis, still a silly word, was conserved during evolution because it formed a building block for the more complex motor patterns, such as suckling in mammals. He goes on to say, if Strauss's team is right, hiccuping before birth is just an early stage in the development of suckling, a little like learning to crawl before you can walk. Strauss points out that the sequence of movements during suckling is very similar to hiccuping, with the glottis closing to prevent milk entering the lungs. Now, if this theory is true, it would make a lot of sense as to why we still hiccup. Unfortunately, Strauss's team doesn't have a whole lot of evidence yet to support this, but they're working on it. And when they finally prove that hiccups are necessary for humans to safely nurse, I will definitely endure my next hiccup experience with a bit more appreciation. Or maybe I'll just drink a glass of water upside down or something. So we know what causes hiccups. We know what they are. We know where they come from. And we know two possible reasons as to why they still happen. But how do we get rid of them? Well, just like everything with hiccups, no one seems to be sure of which remedies are foolproof. But there are theories as to why those that are actually might work. In a 2014 BBC article written by Claudia Hammond, successful hiccup remedies are broken into two categories. Category 1, CO2, or carbon dioxide. Claudia writes, in the first group are the methods that raise the levels of carbon dioxide in the blood, inhibiting spasms of the diaphragm. These techniques include holding your breath or breathing into a paper bag. And they can work sometimes, but researchers are unsure why. Some think it's a way of distracting the body so that it worries about the buildup of CO2 instead. Others have proposed that hiccups may be caused by low levels of CO2 in the first place, and therefore high levels would inhibit the hiccups altogether. So, if you're ever hiccuping spontaneously on the subway, make sure you have your CO2 cartridge readily available. Category 2, the nervous twitch. Claudia writes, an alternative hiccup remedy is to do something that stimulates the vagus nerve that runs from the brain to the stomach, coordinating breath and swallowing. This nerve is implicated in the hiccuping process, but you can disrupt this chain of events by stimulating the nerve so that it sends signals to the brain, telling it to attend to this new sensation instead. This is where remedies such as gulping water, biting a lemon, or eating crushed ice come in. Similarly, pulling the tip of your tongue, putting your fingers in your ears, or gently pressing on your eyeballs can all stimulate the vagus nerve. Think of it as distracting the body from hiccups by making something else dramatic happen to it. So basically every remedy is a good remedy, so long as it's dramatic? To hiccup or not to hiccup? That is the question. That was dumb. Guys and gals, the time has come for me to wrap up yet another episode of Knowing Nothing. Thank you all for joining me on this glottal journey through the life and times of a hiccup. Before I go, I want to hand the mic off to a very special boy, Jax Bartok, to read you a list of his personal favorite hiccup remedies. Jax?
Hi, my name is Jackson Bartok. I am 9 years old, and I'm happy to be on this podcast. You know, I remember when I get the hiccups. It's really annoying, just over and over again the whole day. You try everything. But I really think that a hiccup is a burp gone wrong, and then a burp is a hiccup gone wrong. I mean, it's just all connected, because they're all part of your body, and how they, they all feel, to me, connected some way. But really, I just think, how can you stop them? I don't know. Here, I'm going to give you a few lists of things to do when you have the hiccups. Get a friend to scare you. Eat honey, but do not feed the infant. Drink a shot of lime juice with Tabasco sauce added. Do 3 cartwheels with a Jolly Rancher candy in your mouth. Let someone punch you in the gut. Rub your earlobes. Slide a well-greased length of thin, flexible rubber tubbing through one nostril to the point where it just barely touches the back of the throat. Balance something on your nose, look up into the sky and think of a purple elephant, stand on a chair in a crowded room and stay. I have the hiccups loudly. Think of a bald guy that you know. Ask your dad to buy you a dog. Just be patient.
Which one would you do, Jax?
I would do ask your dad to buy you a dog.
That was Jackson Bartok, the sole catalyst for this entire episode. He is the coolest, smartest boy I have ever met. I don't know how he knows so much at 9 years old. Before we go, I need to give a little shout out to our amazing sponsors and affiliate mothers. The first being Amazon.com. If you ever want to buy something on Amazon and you also want to help out Sound Pollination, pop on over to our website, soundpollination.com, and then click on the banner at the top of the page that'll take you straight to Amazon. You can do your shopping, buy whatever you want, and then they'll send it to you and give us a small percentage of whatever it is you pay. It's no skin off your back. That's not the phrase. No skin off your teeth, and it helps us out enormously. The second is Blue Apron. Blue Apron is an amazing service with amazing, amazing food. And if you sign up on Blue Apron through soundpollination.com, you get a discount on your first meal. I also want to thank True Vodka, who again sponsored our launch party last week, Unorthodox, which also sponsored our launch, and just a shout out to everyone who donated to our Indiegogo. Thank you guys so much. I am blown away and humbled by the amount of love and support you guys have given us. Our Indiegogo has ended, and we are ready to really flood into this company. And it would never have happened without you guys, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been Knowing Nothing, a show made by the curious for the curious. I'm your host, Mickey Roberts. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's learn a whole new nothing next time. Stay curious.